Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Switchcraft, the Fingerboard podcast. I'm Jana Kemmer and I'm sitting here with my co-host as usual.
Hi, I'm Julian Buono. Good day everyone.
And this time we have a special guest. Let's say hello to Annie.
Hi.
Yeah, so as probably a lot of you know, Annie was like the mastermind behind the video that dropped a few days ago when we record this. Was the video called Femblance, the first female fingerboard edit that I think was ever done. And yeah, we want to talk to her about her, the edit, and yeah, fingerboarding in general. So let's get right in. So yeah, first of all, like, who are you? Like, what's your when did you or where are you from? Let's start there.
I'm from Hong Kong, but as many people know, I also am like sort of a bit all over the place because I went to boarding school in the UK and then I obviously went to the States to do university, but I am from Hong Kong.
So where in this whole picture does fingerboarding come in? How did you come up with it?
So I think back when I was like 8 or 9 years old, because my dad has family in Canada, we would like go to Canada every summer. And we went to this magical place called Walmart because that doesn't exist in Hong Kong. And I found tech decks.
Right.
And that was a time when I was like a little bit obsessed with skateboard culture and what that was like. But I didn't really skateboard myself.
Yeah.
So I bought a bunch of tech decks and I just played around with them. And then I started collecting them. But then I didn't really know you could do tricks on them or anything.
Right.
And then multiple years later, when I was at boarding school, I don't actually know how I found out about Berlin wood, but I found out about Berlin wood. I found out about wooden skateboards, wooden fingerboards, I mean. And that's when I really started fingerboarding. Like my first setup was a Berlin wood, Bali trucks, and Bali wheels. So...
Classic combo.
Do you know what year that was? Like roughly? Like was it the 29 millimeter era or
29 millimeter. That was when 30 millimeter was like really wide, you know? So yeah.
I'm slowly getting back in touch with that.
Yeah.
28,
a lot of people
20.
are. Yeah.
I can never go back.
It's just too skinny.
Yeah.
It's not. It's really not.
Is it not? I don't know.
So then you started learning tricks, or like did you stumble upon the tricks on YouTube, or did you meet someone, or like how? Because when I remember back, I think I couldn't tell you how I found out that you could do tricks. Like it just happened somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think the way I found out about wooden fingerboards as it was probably something where it just like showed up on my YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was probably like a Mike Schneider video because
Like
I think he was one of
algorithm.
the few people back then who was actually putting out like high quality videos that a lot of people were watching because he obviously was filming on a really nice camera. So I think that's how I started like, oh, like you can do really cool tricks on them. And then I started looking up tutorials. And then I think it was like Taylor Rosenbauer, his tutorials with what's it like with Disney?
Disney, yeah.
I
So
still
it
watch
has to
those
be
sometimes.
something like 2011, 2012?
I think probably 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, around that time.
And have you ever been to an event at that time, or?
I'm really bad at like being a part of the fingerboard scene, I feel, because I'm like there, but I'm not there. Like I participate, but I've never been to an event. Even when I was in Boston, I never went to Rendezvous.
Huh.
I don't really know why. Well, I do know why. I think because, social anxiety and stuff. And like it just like I knew like how Rendezvous worked and stuff, but I never felt confident enough to just go to the events for some reason.
Hmm.
And Andover is actually further from Boston than you would think, in my opinion, because I wouldn't make it like an overnight trip. So, um, yeah, I think that's part of the reason why. And also, I was just like on sets every weekend.
Mm,
Um, so I didn't really have time to go to events as it was anyway.
yeah.
So, yeah,
I
I'm really
see.
bad at it.
Yeah, but the thing is, really, social anxiety is a thing that is in common for a lot of fingerboarders, I think, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fingerboard events are actually the best gatherings to get rid of your social anxiety because everyone is just basically minding their own business. But
Exactly.
if something comes up, like what are
Hey,
you riding or what trick
want to
was
play a
that,
game of skate?
then it's always cool. You know, like connections can be loosely attached pretty
Yeah.
quickly. You
I
know.
was going to go to Rendezvous this year, but then,
Yeah, me
Then
global
as
shit
well.
crisis,
happened.
so it couldn't happen. Um, but yeah, maybe next year.
How I heard people call it the ongoing global bastard, and this is my favorite name for it. So yeah, yeah, I think that that destroyed a lot of people's fingerboard plans and plans in general. And
I
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, we were supposed to also organize a contest this year. Like, yeah, shit, shit
Yeah,
went
are
down.
we still waiting on the feedback from Cassiopeia, or are
Mm,
we calling
no,
it off?
mm,
Is Timo calling it off?
I know something, but there hasn't been an official announcement made, but there will be probably next week.
Uh, cool.
But I wouldn't put my hopes up too high.
Nah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
definitely not.
yeah,
It's probably just safer not to do anything now too, like
yeah,
just for everyone's sakes.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
also to not invite people to travel to Berlin, because like
Yeah.
I think it's another thing if we locals meet up with like 5 people at Julian's place, or like I did yesterday with a bunch of friends at a like open park, sitting on the curb for 5 hours. Like it, of course, it's not like 100% safe, but it's as safe as, yeah, like it was in our, it was what we were willing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to put like 50 people from like all bordering nations from Germany to all of them, bring them to
Yeah,
Berlin.
nah,
And because like it's another
not
thing of,
conceptually safe.
yeah, if it's like 1 or 2 people coming from different cities from Berlin, even that is
Yeah.
not that great. And to do a whole event where everyone has the chance wants to be, then that's not the best play in the
Yeah.
Yeah,
situation.
let's skip that.
Definitely agree.
Yeah, so do you like do you know about a fingerboard scene in Hong Kong, or uh, in that area as a whole? Like, is
Uh,
there like how is fingerboarding perceived in Hong Kong? Like, is it something people of our generation know about, or even have seen, or like, or do people know that you fingerboard? Like,
Like, okay, so the last question.
yeah.
My parents know I fingerboard. Like, pretty much all my friends know I fingerboard, like my close
Mhm.
ones, because especially if they've come to my place here in Hong Kong, like all my friends in Hong Kong know I fingerboard because I have obstacles on my desk. I have fingerboards lying around everywhere.
Yeah,
Like
I think we
it's
all
just
know
so
that.
evidence everywhere that it's
Yeah.
impossible to ignore. As like the Hong Kong scene and it's like it's just like I mean right now, like look at this. It's
Yeah.
just there. So
Yeah.
it's just everywhere. So it's hard to
Yeah.
hide. I think at the beginning I tried to hide it, but then
Yeah.
because I was like, it feels like a kid's toy. But then I was like, no, so many adults play around with it. Like it's just fun. So
Yeah.
but in Hong Kong, generally speaking, I've been told there is a scene kind of, but I've never
Actually seen it.
seen it. Like so like I know there's a company called Bracelet Bushings in Hong Kong.
They're from. Didn't know that they were from Hong Kong.
Apparently, that's what Lena told me. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I only know
Um,
about them from Lena, so.
yeah, and
All right.
yeah, I didn't know that that existed. I didn't think there were any fingerboard companies that existed in Hong
Isn't
Kong.
isn't Hooded also from Hong Kong?
Hooded is
No,
Japan.
that's Japanese.
Okay. I feel so ignorant.
No, it's okay. I wouldn't blame you. Like, I think there's also like probably some Taiwanese like fingerboard scene. They probably have more of a scene than we do.
Mm.
Um, in Hong Kong, I think maybe there was a scene for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there was this company called Life Fingerboards from a long time ago. Um, and I think they were Hong Kong based, but I don't think they make boards anymore.
Alright.
Yeah, and right now, like I've been trying to search for a Hong Kong scene. There seem to be very few people who actually fingerboard
Mm.
in Hong Kong, so I'd have no idea if it exists or where it exists around this area. So yeah, my answer to that is I don't know, I guess. Yeah.
Right. So, what's
Yeah, I'm looking for my notes right now. Let's just yeah, really professional here. Let's just go to the next topic. The Let's talk about the video. So the video came out last week, and it's been in the works for a bit, like
Forever, like forever.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I was in the video itself as well, and I got brought on in like late January, I think,
oh,
and I had only like less than a week, I think, up until the deadline, and so I only had 3 days to film, which for me was like I have no idea how to do this. Like the blessing in disguise was that, like, looking back, it might as well have been that I actually had the virus back then, because I had a really bad pneumonia with like really high fever and stuff like that. So that was the reason why I was at home, because I was already feeling better but still contagious. So I was at home, had nothing to do, so I
You
had
were feeling you were sick, like that
yeah
sick, and you were still
yeah
able to fingerboard.
yeah. It
Like
was
I
like
have a
it
head
was the
cold and I can't fingerboard properly.
it was the very end. Like it was like the at the end of the second week, because I was sick for in like overall about 4 weeks, but I worked in between and then realized I'm still sick and got back home. But yeah, it was like at the end of the initial 2 weeks, and that's why like I filmed over the whole day because I couldn't stand up for more than an hour or something like that. And like went fingerboarding, went to bed, fingerboarding, bed, and did that for 3 days.
Mm.
filming
But
routine.
also,
Yeah.
but also in hindsight, you're probably like, what the heck? Like I had more time.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if that wouldn't have happened, I probably wouldn't have participated, because I like when I work my 9 to 5 job, I get back home at 8, and I usually don't try to fingerboard on my park up like after 9, because it's quite loud, and
Yeah.
there's a neighboring wall right next to the park. So I try to keep the noise down there, and like I fingerboard at my desk all the time, and I have like mats here, so it's not that loud. But
Yeah.
yeah, filming a part, I usually can only do at the weekend. So
Mm.
it was a good thing that I had time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted like what I wanted to talk about is the time frame in itself, because I know some of you started in December, end of November, something like that.
Yeah. So, do you want me to just like sort of give an
Yeah, sure.
overview of everything?
Sure.
So, I had this idea for it for a while now. I think I said this in the podcast,
Mm,
but I've had this idea for a while now. I was just like, I don't understand why this video doesn't exist, because there's so many women in fingerboarding it, and but not to the point where it feels like making a video about it would be redundant.
mm,
And so I was just like, why don't I do it? Like, why
yeah.
don't I be the one to put it all together, since I'm an editor anyway. Um, so then I reached out to, because at the time I didn't have a fingerboard Instagram. Obviously, like I've only
Mm,
had my account for less than two, like just about 2 months, I'd say maybe. And I just messaged EJ, Fingerboard Queen.
mm,
I messaged Sitting Duck, Savannah, and I messaged, who else did I message? I think Mallory,
Yeah.
mm,
because they were all following me on Instagram at the time. And there are probably also a few other people I just forgot, and I'm very sorry.
mm,
But I asked them, hey, like, what do you think about this? Because I think it'd be really, really cool. And they were like, yeah, like I think that's a great idea. So I made a group, and then we just added more and more people in,
mm.
and then obviously you got added in as well. There were people who got added in like February,
Yeah.
and yeah, so the original deadline was, we were hoping for end of January or like beginning of January, but then it was it
Obviously.
was really
But
difficult to
yeah.
manage because I think everyone was just so busy, and then
Mm,
the deadline just kept getting pushed. And honestly, I wouldn't have allowed for that deadline to be pushed if it wasn't for the fact that my main goal for this video was to include as many of us as we could.
mm,
Because so many of us wanted to be a part of the video, but then there were actually a few people who couldn't make it. Like Kylie couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I think Marie, like as in like Girl in Red,
mm.
wanted to be a part of the video but couldn't. Like she
She
didn't have
was on
time to
tour.
fingerboard
Yeah.
because she was on tour. Like it was just really hard. So I made a decision. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna make the deadline a little further so that as many people as possible who we've added in the group can be a part of it.
Hmm.
And like since that's the main aim, and then next year I think obviously people will be more prepared for the idea of it, because
Mm,
we've already agreed in the group essentially that we're going to do it every year now.
yeah.
So yeah, it was
So
frustrating, but it's okay, it worked.
yeah. So one question before I jump to the next one. Uh, what exactly did you do as an editor in there? Like the yeah. So what did you do in putting it together?
Okay,
Yeah.
so um, Yana is very good at doing her own editing anyway, so I didn't do anything for her part. Um, and I didn't put any music to it. You decided it that all by yourself,
Yeah.
and it worked so well. It was so perfectly done.
Thanks.
Um, I feel like I was just there to assist anyone who
Mm,
needed help, right? So everyone, like, I think the option was send me either a fully edited part with the music all
Yeah.
like put in with it, or
mm,
send me something without music, or just send me clips. And um, in hindsight, I don't think that was the best thing to do, but that is what I did. And basically, for the people who just sent parts without music, I like tried to look for music that worked. And then for people who just
Right.
sent clips, I was in charge of putting those parts together, and then obviously just sort of putting them into a timeline and figuring out which part goes after which part.
mm,
Um, which surprisingly is very difficult to do.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
can
there's
imagine.
that.
Because, as someone who watched quite a few skate videos, like, I'm not like a nerd when it comes to skate videos, but I have watched
You
a
consume a
few.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go.
And there they talk a lot about pacing, like
Hmm.
putting a high energy part in the middle to get the energy back up, then putting something
Right.
chill in between, or to not put similar styles, like too many similar styles behind each other and things like that. And yeah, and I think those are points like some that we can work on for the next one, because
I
I
totally
think I
agree.
think a lot of us didn't know what to expect. Like
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you heard of that, but there was actually an initiative to, like, I don't know what happened out of that, but there was someone who tried to do a similar thing before, but I don't think nothing ever came out of it.
Yeah.
I think it was done by someone from Brazil. I'm not sure. Like, someone from South America started it,
Who
Okay.
means like what?
and uh, but but it was supposed to be like a short statement of your name, and that you're a female fingerboarder, one trick, and that was like supposed to be the thing. But
Oh,
I
okay. That's not a full length.
yeah, yeah, that's not a full length, but it was like the first getting together of women in fingerboarding.
I
But I
see.
don't think nothing ever came out of that. I certainly didn't submit anything because I was like, yeah, I'm not comfortable in doing that. So
Okay.
I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm out. And I don't think I've ever seen the edit or the thing that came out of it on Instagram.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was a while ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
That sucks.
yeah, and I forgot where I was going with this. Well, that happened.
We were talking about
The
editing,
pacing of
Ah, yeah,
the
yeah,
pacing.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so I think for the uh, because of because of people didn't know what to expect, I think if you treated it like an Instagram clip that's a bit longer, and for me, as someone who watched their fair share of skateboard videos, and like I think I had a VHS of Pissing Fingers 1. Like I watched
Good
that when it
stuff.
came out. I waited for Pissing Fingers 2, watched that when it came out. I wasn't around for Pissing Fingers 3, but yeah, so I try to model it after something I would have seen in a video like that, with like a start, an end, and I think that's something we can improve for the next. But is there something you thought you would try to work on for the next one?
Yeah, I think we just touched on so many points. I I was thinking about this a few weeks ago, actually, even before releasing it, and even throughout the editing process. I feel like I learned a lot.
I feel
Cause
that every time I'm editing.
yeah, cause I'm actually going to do like my own video for my YouTube discussing some of this stuff, but
Right.
um, I definitely think that not only should fingerboarding videos like full lengths like be similar to skateboarding videos, but one thing that I also thought about whilst editing this was because I really like making music videos and I really like editing music videos. I almost treat every single edit I make like a mini music video.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I feel like people should do that for all of their parts. Like you don't think about it like consciously, but I think we do things to make it look a bit like a music video, like how, the beat, like the rhythm of it,
Mhm.
the board landing on the rhythm, on the beat, like stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is so important.
Um,
And oh, were you gonna
no
Yeah.
worries. Continue. Continue. I'm sorry. I
um,
thought you were
no,
finished.
no, you're good. And I think for next year, one thing that I definitely want to try and do is encourage people to have more fun with it instead of just submitting a plain like 1 to 2 minute video of them just like clips stacked together.
Yeah.
I'm definitely think there should be more B-roll. I think like your part and Berta's part I've talked about before were just so perfect to start and end. Rewatching the different parts, like there are some clips you put in that weren't even like full tricks, you know?
Yeah,
it's
I did
just
some
to get the video like going, just to get the part like feeling good, you know? It's so important, and that's one thing I definitely want people to do. The second thing is I don't know if this is super like the word I'm looking for isn't coming to me, but I don't know if this is possible, I guess, but given the current pandemic that's going on, but maybe for next year, what would be really cool, in my opinion, is if I end up going back to the States or just something like that, being able to help other people film too, so that I can control the lighting conditions and stuff like that. I definitely want to try and encourage people to film on nicer cameras if they can. If not, definitely trying to light it properly.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, the most important part is definitely like lighting it well so that there's no grain, or as little grain as possible. And also telling people no vertical videos, just horizontal.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why I didn't. I think I've assumed that no one would submit vertical parts.
Since you knew it was going to go on YouTube, and YouTube is horizontal, but it was we
Don't
discussed
count
that
on
on
rational thinking of people. Don't.
But like obviously, like I'm not shit talking anyone.
Yeah.
I'm just. I think that's just something I need to clarify, because obviously for some people it might not have come to mind. They were just like, oh, I'm just going to film a clip.
Yeah, like sometimes the most obvious things don't come to us because we're like, yeah, I'm gonna do it like I always do it, and then we don't think much of it.
So this is something that interests me from the perspective of having been involved in a full length.
Oh yeah, we
myself.
didn't touch on that. You were part of a release that happened last week.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Was a
I'm
busy
part
week
of the flat face montage. And
very, very cool.
The thing is, Mike handed us guidelines, like honest guidelines. Like okay, maybe he didn't necessarily express it as a guideline, but he said, yeah, you should put some effort into it because I'm filming the best stuff that I ever filmed, said Mike Schneider, you know? So you try to kind of get up on that concept, and he also said, like, yeah, with music, you have to choose the music, which took me kind of off ground, but anyway, and stuff like that. So he established some angle points, kind of, that you had to work with. Did you do that for as you contacted the riders?
So I think because I didn't want it to feel like my project. I feel like the flat face video is very much like that's like a Mike Schneider video. Like for me, like it's like a flat face. Like it's specific to like obviously because it's his company. It's about all the people who are in it, obviously, but I didn't want to feel like I was trying to take like a leader. Like this is my video. I want to control it. Because I've always had problems with collaborative projects where that happens, and just not maybe me specifically, but people generally are trying to take a lead when it's not about taking a lead. It's just about people doing what they want to do. But because of that, I didn't give very specific guidelines. I didn't want to feel controlling about it. And also, I think I just assumed everyone would do their best because I tried to do my best. Obviously, I only had that one obstacle in the video the whole time. That's just because, like, in the States, the thing for me, like, bringing stuff to the States, the most important stuff is my camera equipment. So fingerboarding comes secondary, and I can only bring a few obstacles here and there. But if I filmed in, like, at home, I definitely would have done more. But yeah, I just don't want to do a bunch of guidelines, but I think for next year, I definitely will take a page out of Mike's book and say, like, give some specific guidelines. I think the idea of maybe saying, if you're going to submit a full edit, please pick your own music, but also please feel free to just send clips. And I can pick the music for you, but no in between. So I think I'm going to get rid of the in between category for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, yeah.
Sorry. Like
No, you're good. I didn't have anything else to say.
when I heard that some people submitted an edited part without music, I was like, how would you do that? Because for me, like, it's not like, oh, why did you? It's more like I need the music to edit to. Like for me, like I said, I treat it as a music video. I studied graphic design 10 years ago. Shit. And and in that we had to do a music visualization, which was like an animation to music. And when I did that, I learned a lot about like listening to little things in the music and trying to pick up on them. And that's basically how I approached all of my edits so far. And for me, like when I start filming the first clip, I already know what music I'm going to put that for. And I know
that's so interesting because I never know until I pick.
Yeah, and that's like, and I like that it's like so many different approaches because like I know Julian is also he takes quite a lot of time to find the right piece of music.
Yeah.
And for me, I just know, like I listen to something and be like, yeah, I'm gonna film a part for that.
I mean, I always have like a pretty narrow choice of things I want to use, but still, when you have the clips, and you actually have them, then I can actually tell if it's more of an upbeat thing or more of a, something more chilled or whatever. I rarely know that from the start. And the thing is, for a 3-minute video, because I submitted something like 3 minutes and 7, you have to find something that can convey a stable mood for that long a time. I was really put aback when he was like, yeah, could you get it to music? And I'm like, oh, I thought you were choosing some. Fuck.
Do you know if he normally chooses the music and then people cut to it, or?
Well, basically, Mike rarely does montages.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's been a while since the last
this is the first honest full length montage he has ever done. Like,
wasn't there one like? I thought there was one a few years ago, but I could be wrong.
It could be because I haven't been on Mike's channel for a while now. But if you look to other montages, it's pretty obvious that usually the people choose their own music. Like Variety Collection is probably one of my favorite montages in fingerboarding, and
Yeah. That like Variety Collection 2 is my favorite video ever.
Have you seen 3?
I have seen 3, yes.
The J part.
Oh my god.
I've been out of the scene during that time, and this is the first time I heard that name ever. Like
You need to watch it. It's so
you've
good.
actually seen it. Yeah, I've showed you bits of it.
okay, that could
And
be.
you were pretty unimpressed by some of the things,
Uh,
but I
sounds
mean,
like me.
yeah, I mean, which I could totally understand. Like some of the spots are really you're fingerboarding that. It's a stone.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
But,
remember the thing. In
but still, then Jay's part comes
yeah.
up and it's 2 minutes 50 that just basically
Yeah.
justify everything else.
Yeah. He's so good.
I'm gonna
Ridiculous.
slip out of the frame just for a second because if I don't, then my laptop's gonna die.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Um. Yeah. For me, I don't know why, but the music thing, like, and editing to music, like I feel it also conveys a part of personality of each person,
Yes, for
and
sure.
and
Definitely.
yeah,
that's something I like. But to touch on one point you said earlier, like this is my third real part I filmed. Like I filmed the Halloween part 1.5 years ago, my welcome part, and now this one. And for me, the Halloween part really helped me because in the Halloween part we had specific guidelines we needed to match.
yeah,
We
you had a concept for
yeah,
sure.
we had to do like 45 seconds intro without fingerboarding, which was a real challenge for me, or 30 seconds or something like that. I think it was 45 seconds. And because they were trying to set the mood to Halloween and do something scary and stuff like that. And that really helped me in my like editing skills because that like with that part I had a clear concept and knew what I wanted to do and basically had a guideline that wasn't set by someone else. Like it was a guideline that was based on some parameters, and then I yeah worked on that guideline
Yeah,
myself. And I feel with any edit I do, the next edit I'm like, why didn't I do it like this last time? Or yeah, like I I use Adobe Pro to edit, but like I use that very occasionally, so I'm not good at it. And I'm like I have a few things I do and I do them all the time, but even still, like I continually learn something new. And I really like that about fingerboarding, that you sometimes like transport it into different things like video production and
Mm,
or the competitive side or yeah or something
I
like
totally
this
agree.
interviews.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
It's really multifaceted, really, and a video part sure kind of conveys your personality to a degree. So
yeah, I
it's really an
agree.
interesting part of it, kind of.
Yeah, so like for me, I think that's everything I had on my notes so far. Ewan, do you have anything you want to ask any do you have anything you want to talk about or that you
Oh, um,
yeah, it's
do
tough
I
to
have
be put on
anything
the
else?
spot.
Um,
Questions always come up after.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
A lot of time when we finished one of these, I'm like, oh, you dummy, you forgot to ask this obvious thing that you wanted to ask about.
I'm trying to think. I guess like the only thing I really had to say specifically about the edit is that next year will definitely be better because lessons have been learned, and this is also the first time I've edited a fingerboard
Mm,
thing. Like I
yeah,
have experience editing like films and music videos, but I've not really had experience aside from my own edits, like
yeah.
putting together something where so many different styles and so many different environments are put into one video. So next year will
um,
definitely be better.
I
But
have a
not like not to say that it was like
No, it's great
I
now.
yeah,
It's amazing now, but
yeah,
next
and
year
I
will be
just
even
wanted to
better.
I just want to make that clear. Like there were a few things I didn't like too much. There were a few things I liked really much. Like, but that's
Yeah.
with everything I watched. Like,
Everything, yeah.
and so overall, I thought it was quite good, especially as a first time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would have a small suggestion. Maybe you already know them, maybe you don't. It's I think 2 or 3 parts by Harry. Um, that I would,
Oh yeah.
that
Love
obviously.
Harry.
Like one is the Big Harrix montage, the 2011 one, where everyone popped in a frame of themselves, a flat trick, an obstacle trick, and a line. You had really specific sets actually, but still in that frame you could really perk up your individuality, really, because you could do whatever
Yeah.
basically. And that for me was an interesting concept, and also maybe the Herrick's After Session 6,
Mm-hmm.
which is an older one, and it's basically with the whole Flatface team, and you're like, where do they all come from? And the video is something like 9 minutes, but it never loses the pace. Really, never. And these could be maybe some inspirations that you could maybe use, maybe not, depending on if you like it or not. But that's just my 2 cents on what I really like in a montage.
Yeah, one thing I really liked about the Femlin's video was that I liked the length of the part. Like there was one where I was like, this could have been a bit longer, and one
Yeah,
where I was like, this could have been a bit shorter. But overall, I really liked the length, because with the flat face video being at 1.5 hours with I don't know how many riders, I
and I
was
have to be
like,
bloody honest, I still haven't seen Ryan's part.
what?
Yeah, sorry.
That's like Ryan's part is the one I would recommend people. Like if you're only going to watch one part, do that one. If you're going to watch 3 parts, that one, Mike's, and I really liked Scott's part, but
Mm.
some
Really
were
good part.
some didn't. I really enjoy, like those were my top 3
Really good
from the
part.
flat face
I have
video.
to agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that it wasn't 1.5 hours. That's
I'm gonna be honest. Like, if ours was an hour and a half, no one would have watched it. Like, I don't
yes,
think anyone would have watched it. With
One
a
is
flat face video,
accessible, the
like,
other one's
I think the
excessive.
same.
yeah, like, I mean, the flat face video is like the whole community knows about it. Like, I would not be surprised if not every single person in the community didn't know about the video. Like, I don't expect that at all because
Mm,
I mean, like, who are we to be like, watch
yeah,
us for an hour and a half?
yeah,
And it's so difficult to keep things like interesting, I think, with
yeah.
fingerboarding.
Yeah.
Because there's no faces. It's very limited imagery unless you like do a bit of editing and
Yeah.
everything put together. So
Yeah,
I
especially
don't
when
know.
people don't have access to parks, and not everyone, like some people who think about for years have never ridden an actual park, because like
Yeah.
when I started, like I don't know how long ago, I did create my own park, but that was only because I came from a somewhat rich family. We had a big house. I had space to do that. Like now living in a flat in Berlin, I'm really really lucky to have the space to actually put a
Mhm.
Yeah.
park in this flat. And also thanks for this guy for letting me do that. But but yeah, because like it's like you can't do that in any flat, and
Yeah.
I mean, I
it
don't have a
takes up
park. Like,
space.
I've
Yeah,
never ridden a park in my life because I don't
yeah,
go to events because I'm an
Yeah.
idiot, but also because I don't have the space to do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And so if you have people who only ride on obstacles back to back, like that limits the imagery even more. And I feel when you have access to a park, it makes like it automatically changes up the scenery all the time. That's one of the reasons why I never put tricks on the same spot in my park back to back. Like anytime I edit, I never put a trick on the big rail, which is my favorite, back to another trick on the big rail, unless it's like the same trick in a different angle. Like I try to always switch it up, and that's like my one recommendation to people. If you only have one obstacle or one area to film, try to switch up the position of your camera and try. That's actually something I learned from Julian and hanging out with those guys. That you like for some tricks you need different styles of filming. Like some tricks look better from this angle, some look better from that angle. Sometimes you can't even tell what a trick is when you film it from up front. Sometimes it's the same from the side. Like some tricks work in specific ways, and I think to put that to your advantages is like one of the thing that makes a part stand out a bit more, because you're working with the medium, and yeah.
Yeah,
the medium is not working against you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But like I said, I didn't. I'm not trying to bash on a part. This is like
constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially since like it's everyone's. I don't think many people in the video in Femblance actually have had experience being in a full length before.
Exactly.
So they don't know what is to be expected for a full length. And even I didn't know what to expect for a full length. So I know what I need to do better in the future for my own filming, which is like you were just saying how you need to switch things up and stuff like that. Another issue with filming a full length fingerboard video is, especially in our case, we're all over the world. You don't have one filmer. You have multiple everyone is just filming their own stuff, which is not the case for a skate video, which is why a skate video is so much more cohesive. So we will we know what we need to do next.
And a skate video is also usually produced for a much longer time. Like even though this took a bit, like the actual work on the skateboard, like the editing process alone can sometimes take like basically the amount of time a film takes, because it's usually just one person doing it. And they have to do all the selecting, all the color correction, and the editing in itself. And to think that a fingerboard video filmed by a few people all over the world who never done anything like that would look like a skate video is just something that's not gonna happen. Like not on first try.
Immediately.
Because the parameters are just completely different, and that's why I think it's important to come up with an own style. Like I always recognize a clip filmed by Julian. I recognize the clip filmed by Ben, a friend of us, like or Harry. Like there are some, like when you hang around with a person a lot and see them producing the clips and choosing the clips and be like, I think you have to do that trick again. And even though the writer thought, I think that was okay, and the person on the other side of the camera sees, from this angle, it didn't look good, even though you landed it. Like from this angle, it looks like it doesn't. So it doesn't matter that you did land it, because that's the angle that counts. And,
exactly.
Yeah, and I like the different styles, and it took me a while to come up with my own style, but yeah.
It's working.
Yeah, and like I said, this was my third, like even though I've never been in a full length video, this was my like third full length part. So that's why
this is my first, and I had to edit it. It was just like I really signed up for something too big, but
I mean, like I said, it did work. So and like things like that always feel big when you start them and look intimidating, and you just make it work. Yeah. Okay, I think this is a very good place to end. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time. What time is it? Is it for you right now? Is it like
It's
early,
only
late?
9 p.m.
Okay.
Nighttime, but it's not late.
Yeah. Not late, late. Yeah, here it's like middle of the day, even though it's gray and looks dark. It's during the
Yeah,
day.
it's about to. Ah, fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Okay, so thank you very much, and thanks to Yuyan, and yeah, so we're gonna be excited for the next video in a year.
Yeah,
So,
of course. Thanks for having me.
yeah, bye.
No worries. Peace.